Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Beer and Money. My name is Ryan Burklo. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about obligations that you actually want to have. This episode stems from a conversation that I had with a mentor of mine where we started discussing, when we're working with clients and we're trying to figure out, what it is, what are their goals and dreams, oftentimes, the classic goals and dreams that we get are all of the stereotypes that are out there, right? I want to make sure that I'm set up for retirement. I want to make sure that I send my kids to college. I want to not have to work anymore when I don't want to, like the traditional goals that we get. And not to say that our clients don't mean that, but I do think they don't really know what they want to do. And what I mean by that is when I ask a follow-up question and I say, okay, imagine you had all the money in the world right now, what would you be doing? And this is where I get a lot of blank stares often. And I don't mean that in a demeaning way. It's just oftentimes, myself included at some point, we don't stop to take the time to think about what is it we really want to be doing with our life or just obligation wise. Like, what is it we really want to do? And I think it's a hard question to answer because we are in the thick of things, right? I've got a 14-year-old son, a 16-year-old daughter. I'm married. I work, right? Trying to get off to the kids' activities. I coach my daughter's high school basketball team, which, by the way, I love. So it's not really something that I would want to give up. But we've got all these different obligations with just life and the sauce of life that you actually don't stop and think about. What are the obligations you actually want to have? And so we're all making these unwanted compromises that I don't think we recognize that we can actually get rid of, which takes me to the question around, like, why are we saving money? Why are we working so hard? What are we trying to build? And that's a hard thing to think about. And what really spurred me into today's episode was, what obligations do I want to actually have? So let's dive into this. So I just started thinking about this over time. Right now, I've been building this business with Alex Collins, my business partner now, since 2016. And really, I really started my business in 2009. So I've been doing this for, 15 years now. And what's really interesting is I remember back in the day, I was at the office by 6 a.m. I wasn't driving home until oftentimes 8, 9 o'clock at night, which means I'm not even home till 10, right? And there was, and the reason I was working so hard is obviously I wanted to make good money. I wanted to have a good lifestyle, and I wanted to really spend time with my family. But the very thing that I wasn't really doing as much of is spending time with my family because I was working my tail off. And I'm not saying you shouldn't work your tail off, but I definitely did not think about it in the moment. The only thing I really cared about is bigger picture, creating a good lifestyle for my family. And I wanted a higher income to be able to do that. So that was the bigger picture. And it was a motivating picture. But when I went through and I started thinking about all the different compromises that I was making, had I thought about these compromises, I definitely would have looked at my finances different back then. And I think that's what today's episode is about, is it does help you think about your finances from a different lens. So I want you to stop and think about it. So for those of you driving, I don't think too crazy. I want you to focus on the road. If you're watching this on YouTube, this is definitely a question to think about. What obligations do you want to have? Okay, so think about the obligations that you currently have, right? Maybe you have an obligation where you have to go into the office to work now, right? So maybe you'd rather not have to go into the office. You'd rather work from home, which would allow you to possibly take your kids to the bus stop or drive your kids to school, or maybe make breakfast for your family. In the end, maybe just spending more time with your family in the morning, right? That would be a huge thing for me. So a lot of these things that you're about to hear from is just what's on my mind. Like, family is really, really important to me, and more time and experience with them is really what I want. But I do enjoy what I do for a living. There's just compromises that we have to make. And the more money that we've accumulated and the more, and making sure we're monitoring our lifestyle, allows us to maybe stop making these compromises. Like, for instance, a compromise that I used to do is I used to do my own yard work, and I hated it. I hate mowing the lawn. It's just not fun. I don't like trimming the bushes. I don't like doing any of it. So over the last couple of years, I started to essentially hire someone out to do that, and it was the best thing ever because now my weekends were freed up, and I was getting to spend more time with my kids. We would go out and do different experiences. So that was another way of freeing up time. But the only way to do that was obviously to have the income coming in the door to do it from a financial perspective. I already brought this one up, working late into the evening, right? I used to not get home until really late at night, and it would be very frustrating because my kids were young, right? For those of you who have younger kids, like I swear, when my daughter was like 6, 7, 8 months old, I'd go to work, and when I came home, she was doing something completely new, and I'm like, I was frustrated because I was missing it. Missing kids' baseball games or just activities, right? No one wants to do that. So how do we, maybe that's a motivator to look at your finances differently. Like, eh, where are you spending your money? Are you spending your money going out to eat a lot? I brought this up several times on this podcast because that's something that I used to do a ton of, and it really wasn't bringing a ton of value. I was just lazy. And had I just been more specific around where I want to spend my money, I could have recaptured that money, and maybe that allows me to do things differently. Skipping workouts, right? Your health. My health has become extremely important to me. And the reason being is I've had certain family members in my life that, health has declined rapidly for them. And I want to make sure that I get to spend as much time with my kids and my wife as possible. We only have such a limited time on this earth. And the best way to do that is to actually monitor your health. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you've created the lifestyle and the specific calendaring, day, like everything that goes into that. You have to take action with it. But financially speaking, you also have the financial capacity to do that. Eating poorly kind of goes into, skipping your workout. Like, I was eating poorly, right? I love Chick-fil-A. To this day, I still love Chick-fil-A, but I was eating way too much Chick-fil-A. Nothing against Chick-fil-A if you like it, right? But the fact of the matter is, if you eat Chick-fil-A every day, your health is not going to turn out really well for you. And so these compromises I was making, and all I had to do is go back and look at, okay, where is it I'm spending my time? Where is it I'm spending my money? And does it align with the obligations that I actually want to have? Right? A couple episodes ago, Alex and I did an episode when we were talking about, the reason we save money is so that we can have the cash flow later on when we no longer want to work to have the lifestyle that we want. Well, what lifestyle do you want? What obligations do you want to have to have? That's what you're doing. That's what this is all about. That's what life's all about. And so I think with that, if you take that in mind, it does help you think differently about your money, help think differently about where you're spending your time, which allows you to live the life that you want. I don't know how many clients I've brought on board where the very thing they're sitting down with me is what comes out of their mouth is, I'm sick of making my company that I work for rich and not myself. And a question that I used to ask them is okay, what define rich for me? They don't know that answer, but when I started shifting it, okay, to what obligations do you want to have? Now they started thinking differently about where they're spending their time and money. So that's today's episode. I know it's another short one, but I think this is like, if you can get this question nailed and start to align your time and your money with this, I think you're going to be a lot happier, and I think your finances are going to align, and everything works out a lot better and cleaner. Hard to do. This is why I think having your spouse on board, your family on board, and a financial person in your life that can help align your values and your obligations that you want to have with your money. I think I don't know how much more value I can bring when it comes to my clients. So I hope this episode was valuable for you. Head over to beerandmoney.net. I'd love to hear from you on this episode. Obligations. What obligations do you want to have? That concept. Does that make you think differently about your money and your time that you're spending? At the top of the beerandmoney.net page is a contact us. Answer that question. I'd love to hear from you. As always, we hope this episode was valuable for you, and cheers.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice. Although the information has been gathered from sources believed to be reliable, please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should be relied upon only when coordinated with individual professional advice. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by Park Avenue Securities, Guardian, or Quantified Financial Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Guardian, its subsidiaries, agents, and employees do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. Consult your tax, legal, or accounting professional regarding your individual situation. All investments and investment strategies contain risk and may lose value. This material is intended for general public use. By providing this content, Park Avenue Securities, LLC is not undertaking to provide investment advice or a recommendation for any specific individual or situation, or to otherwise act in a fiduciary capacity. Please contact a financial representative for guidance and information that is specific to your individual situation. Ryan and Alex are registered representatives and financial advisors of Park Avenue Securities, LLC. OSJ 200 Market Street, Suite 1850, Portland, Oregon 97201. Phone number 503-221-1226. Securities products and advisory services offered through Park Avenue Securities, member FINRA, SIPC. Financial representatives of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. Park Avenue Securities is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Quantified Financial Partners is not an affiliate or subsidiary of Park Avenue Securities or Guardian. Ryan Burklo, CA Insurance License Number 0K24924. Alexander Collins, CA Insurance License Number 0H24806.
742344.1. Expiration date December 2026.